from Sanjay Sibu, the Country Manager for Cloud Services at IBM. Allow me to introduce him. In his current role, Sanjay manages the cloud services offerings portfolio and works closely with sales and coverage leaders for the positioning and development of various cloud offerings. Sanjay has broad experiences in various aspects of business, ranging from business leadership, product management, account management, and business development, both from a technology and from a geographic perspective. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Sanjay Sibu to the stage.
In the next 20 to 25 minutes, while the topic of the session is cloud for business, I'll be just covering some of the things which we as an IBM, specifically from the cloud services perspective, focusing on e-commerce companies, right? My name is Sanjay, right? Been with IBM for almost 7 years now, completely focusing on cloud services. That's my passion. Right? Now coming to the changes, what is happening across us, right? And most of you will agree with me, especially the focus which is getting right on the cloud services side. It's no more a myth, right? It's a reality. Because cloud services is enabling all customers across all industries. You talk of any industries, the important challenge which is coming and faced by each and every one of us in this room is to really go and see a flexibility, see a possibility of how do we go quickly into the market, right? And there are various scenarios evolving, right? How various industries are adopting cloud services either to enhance the business agility or to really go and quickly get into the market, right? Because I'm sure we are in a competitive world. Everybody wants to get into the market as quickly as possible. Now, these are some of the examples which I have just taken it across globe. You talk of an retail industry, right? The challenge is in terms of how quickly you are able to get your customer experience, right, from the field. For example, if I visit a mall, right, the retail company should be knowing what is my preference, what is that I have purchased over a period of time, so that they really do a personalized engagement with me in terms of my choice and preferences, right? So there's a company in Hong Kong which is actually leveraging IBM cloud services in a big way, not only from the infrastructure perspective, but a lot of analytics which has enabled that company to really change the conversion rate of a prospect to the tune of 250%, right? Similarly, in the middle, you will see healthcare, right, where there's a lot of data which needs to be available not within the hospital only, not within the medical care center only, right? It needs to be available to the doctor anytime, anywhere, right? So there is a huge potential which is being leveraged, which is possible by cloud services in terms of getting that data quickly to the doctor. Second one is banking, right? I'm sure you would have heard a lot during these last 2 days and today as well in terms of mobile banking, mobile wallet coming, right? So we have got certain offerings which are tuned to be built to address whatever challenges you have, and most of them are deployed on the cloud. Now, having said that, right? Now, cloud is becoming an enabler for that change. Right? Cloud is really cutting across data, which is supposed to be by 2015, and we will have 1 trillion connected devices, right? It may overlap to a certain extent with what we call the Internet of Things, right? But that is the humongous number of devices which will be connected. We have got mobile. The activation point to engage customers is enhancing in a big way. On the social side, right, everybody nowadays is trying to be social, whether you talk of any form of social media, right, whether it is Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, right? So all these things in terms of the data points, cloud is becoming an enabler for that change, right, and giving the organization an ability to innovate at speed, right? As I said, we are in a scenario where we may not really have time or the luxury of time to really go and wait for things to happen in a traditional way, because the expectation from our ecosystem, which includes our customers, which includes our partners, is that we need to get quickly into the market, right? And what is anticipated is, as part of one of the IBM surveys, which was done across industry, 72% of the business leaders say that cloud will be extremely important for their business, right? Whether it is in terms of the ongoing business or the business which they want to really focus on going forward, 72% of them say that it's going to be critical. Now, having said that, what do you need the cloud for? Right? There's a basic thing, right? Cloud, as I said, it is interpreted, it is defined in different ways, right? What our point of view is, you may have a different type of workload and an application which you want to deploy. It can be your mobile application, it can be your big analytics data, because data is going to be the natural resource going forward, right? Because there is so much of data which is going to be available in various forms, right? It can be structured, it can be unstructured. You need to really churn that data, try to get some meaningful inference from that. So use analytics engines to do that, right? So you may have a dev test environment. So if you are developing an e-commerce application, you really don't want to spend in terms of getting a capital expenditure, right, in terms of setting up the infra, because the same infra which you need is available on cloud, on a subscription model, or on a pay-as-you-use model, more of a consumption model, right? Now, why you are trying to move it from a traditional way to a cloud is to really meet the business goals, right? As I mentioned earlier, it is speed to market, that's one of the things. You don't really want to invest something upfront in terms of the capital expenditure. You want to make it more of a OpEx model, right? And simplified management of cloud resources. So you want to get into a state where, by leveraging a self-service portal, you are able to provision the necessary resources from the infra side for your application to get deployed, right? Having said that, but there are concerns, right? There are concerns in terms of, for example, if you are writing typically in an e-commerce side of the story, if you are writing an application which need to have a high throughput, an application where you know that today you may have, say, X number of users accessing that application, but down the line that X may become 6X, it may become 5X, right? Do you have that infrastructure which can scale, basically based on the need? That's what we are trying to give that answer. And the answer to that is, we have got Softlayer. It was a company acquired by IBM around 2 years back, right? So Softlayer is something which addresses most of the business pain points, right? Softlayer provides cloud infrastructure, whether you need a bare metal or whether you need a virtualized environment, right? So it gives you a flexibility to select, to customize an infra, which can be a server, storage, or a networking, based on what your application is looking for, right? It is not something one size fits all. It is more from the perspective, if your application is CPU intense, so you can select a server which has got more number of cores. Now, in case your application is memory intense, so you get a flexibility to select, to customize, to design your service, that server for your application. And the beauty of the thing is, in a traditional way, if you would have really purchased the server outside, it would have almost taken 4 to 5 weeks for you to really go configure the server and make it up and running for your end users, which can be your IT department, right? Now, the same server which you are customized for your application is available for you as a consumer in just 2 to 4 hours, right? So that is the USP which Softlayer brings to the table for all of us to leverage, is in fact that it is not only virtualized environment, it is the bare metal, because what we have seen is that there are certain applications which may not run efficiently on a virtualized environment, and they need to have a bare metal on that, right? So that is one of the important things. The second point, which in the context of Softlayer, is in terms of, typically you will say that, okay, today I am trying to serve India customers. I want to really go out and serve global customers. So does software have a global footprint in terms of the data centers? The answer is yes, right? We have got around 20 plus software data centers across globe, right? And I am really happy to share a news with you which came in print media yesterday. We will have a software data center in India pretty soon, this year, right? Which is available as part of the print announcement, global announcement which came from IBM. Now, having said that, you, at the same time, one side you are saying that, yes, I want to leverage cloud services, but I need to have a visibility and control into that. That's what software provides you. The complete control, the complete visibility in terms of what you want to do with the infra lies with you as a customer. Now, coming to the e-commerce typical scenario, and I'm sure you'll agree with me in terms of what are the various things which are typically used for an e-commerce application, right? You have got a web server, right, which predominantly fast page loads have to happen. You have got a database server, which is where you may need a good server, where we recommend a bare metal which is available on software. You may need a multi-tenant firewall as a service again, and you may need a load balancer. This is all what is available as part of software service catalog, right? So whether you are looking for a web server which can run a virtualized environment, you get that as well. If you are looking for a database server which needs to run on a bare metal, because obviously there has to be a high throughput happening between an app server and a database server, so you get that, right? Some critical USPs which I want to share in the context of the slide is, one, I said, yes, you get a flexibility of select a bare metal and a virtualized environment, right? That's one part of it. And the second part is, if you as a customer, you are leveraging software for your infra needs, good point is, your upload is completely free. So the upstream traffic which will happen from your end to software data center is completely free. We don't charge for that. That's point one. The second related point is, then what happens to the downstream? There's the traffic which comes from software data center to your application, right? So what we provide as software as an IBM company is that you as a customer get 20 terabytes per month free if you opt for a bare metal, and you get 5 terabytes per month if you opt for a virtualized environment, right? As I mentioned, software provides you both environments. And the good part is you will be able to migrate workloads between bare metal and a virtual environment seamlessly, right? Today you may start with a virtual environment. Tomorrow you might want to move that workload to a bare metal. You get that flexibility to do that, right? So all these things is what is software bringing to the table, right? So what is softwares in terms of the main USPs other than what I mentioned, right? Software manages 120,000 devices across globe, right? Predictable, right? Because if you are looking for a specific performance which might be driven by your application, you get that as well, right? Speed of deployment, right? I mentioned if you are opting for a bare metal, it takes just 2 to 4 hours to provision that server on a bare metal. If you are opting for a virtual machine, which in software terminology is called cloud computing instances, it takes just under 20 minutes to provision that server, right? So the flexibility in terms of making that infra available for you to develop or deploy the application has reduced from weeks to minutes, right? You have got hundreds of configuration support which is provided, right? As I said, our understanding, our point of view is that from the cloud perspective, it is not one size fits all, right? So you as a customer get a flexibility to customize, to design the infra based on your application needs, and the same is provisioned on software, right? We have got more 22 million domains registered on software which we serve as of today, right? We have got more than 130 million online game players leveraging software, mainly from the fact that software is able to provide you a mix of both, right? A bare metal and a virtualized environment. Having said that, right, so this is something which actually changed the definition of cloud. And I'm sure you will be aware, typically all these standards and definitions are driven by an institute called National Institute of Standards and Technologies in US, right? They had the understanding, or the earlier definition for cloud was that all resources should be virtualized, and that is the way our competition works, right? They say all resources are virtualized and all resources are shared, right? That was the definition which was used at least 5 to 6 years back. But SoftLayer said that, as per us, neither is mandated, because if there is a high performance application which is really needs a good performance, you will not be able to get that performance in a virtualized environment, and that is where they came with the concept of virtualization is a choice. It is not something which cloud mandates, and resources can be shared, dedicated, or a mix, right? Because on SoftLayer, if you want a dedicated server, you will get that, right? Even within the virtualized environment, which none of our competition is able to provide, is that within the virtualized environment, if you are looking for a shared, which is more of a public cloud, you get that on SoftLayer. But in case, if there is a need, there is a requirement for you to have a dedicated environment within the virtualized environment, you have got that flexibility as well. So both bare metal as a dedicated within the virtualized environment, a mix of both you will get. And on the right hand side, you will see the number of options what you as a customer can leverage, right, for your application, for your infra perspective. You have got around 9,000 VMs which can be created per machine, right? You have got 16 options of selecting the cores, which ranges from a single core, which we commit as 2 gigahertz. It's a commitment from IBM SoftLayer that if you are opting for a single core, it will be with a frequency of 2 gigahertz. You can go up to 16 cores of 2 gigahertz, right? So that's the range in which you can select number of cores for your server. You have got 18 options for choosing the RAM, which goes from 1 gig, goes to 32, and even up to 48. So this is something which is getting enhanced every day. As we talk, there will be a plan to have it move to 64 GB of RAM. On the storage side, you have got 31 options, which ranges up to 2 terabytes of storage on SoftLayer. Now, the thing is, what I want to drive a point over here, you as a customer have got the ultimate choice, right? So you can select based on whatever you need. Now, I'll share a couple of use cases to give you a perspective of how typical e-commerce companies across globe have leveraged SoftLayer, right? So this is a e-commerce company. It's shareable. The company name is hotelscombined.com. If you go and do a Google, you will get that. Their complete application is running on SoftLayer as of today, right? Mainly from the fact because they tried a couple of options, right? So let me give you a brief history of this company. They have got around 250,000 real-time transactions happening, right? They started with one of our competition. I need not tell the name. It's very obvious. They started with them. They were there for around 3-4 months, and they had a big challenge of getting malware attacks, right? They had a lot of attacks on DDoS, which is distributed denial of service, because of which their end users were not able to access the application at all, right? And they tried certain things. There was no solution for that because basically the architecture on which the cloud service provider was providing these services was not secure enough to really stop those threats and attacks. Then they decided that they will move out of that competition cloud services, and they tried to build in-house. In-house also they had a similar challenge. While the cost was going high from putting everything in-house, then they came to SoftLayer and did a POC for a month, right? And the good part was they were able to leverage both bare metal as well as virtualized environment, right? And the most important thing, which I'm sure you will agree with me, is the fact they got the flexibility to scale up and scale down. That means if they had 100 transactions hitting that application today, they could really put the infra based on those 100 transactions. And tomorrow, it's a dynamic scenario. Those 100 may become 100,000, right? So from 100,000, they were able to dynamically scale the infra needed for that application to run the way it was supposed to be run. So the feature of scaling, the feature of elasticity is something which they leveraged in a big way, right? And the good part was, because this was an e-commerce application, so there was a lot of database servers which were really very high-end. Software was able to provision those high-end database servers to them in just 2 to 4 hours, right? So that is one of the use cases which I thought I'll share with you. The next is more of a similar use case, but that is on one of the biggest ticketing sites, right? So it's tickets.com, which is in Indonesia, right? So there also they really book the tickets for the events for various sports across globe, right? It's not they are restricted to only one country. They have got a big e-commerce application which does in the back end everything right from you are ordering for an event, ticket issuing, ensuring that it goes to the right people, right? So they are leveraging software in a big way, right? Again, an e-commerce sort of example where they are leveraging software not only from the bare metal perspective, right, but from the perspective of having a virtualized environment, right? And from the software perspective, it is not only an infra story, right? They have got software also provides a lot of additional services for you as a customer to leverage. You have got load balancing, you have got firewall coming along with it, right? And the important thing which still our competition is not able to meet, all these 20 plus software data centers across globe are connected by software's own dark fiber. That means if there's a traffic for your application, right? So there are scenarios where a customer or an e-commerce application is running, where your app server might be running in software data center in Singapore, and database server might be running in Amsterdam, just an example, right? So whatever the traffic has to happen between these two applications or the two servers, which are residing in different locations, is completely secure in terms of it goes on the software's dedicated link which they have used to connect all these software data centers, making the application and the data to be more secure, right? There are scenarios where people have leveraged software in a big way, where they are saying if they are their production environment is in Singapore and they want to have some form of a DR on cloud, they use Amsterdam to replicate some of it, right? And the transaction or the internet data transfer which happens between these two software data centers is completely free, right? We don't really charge for any data to get transferred from a software data center in one location, just an example, Singapore, to software data center in Amsterdam, right? So my humble submission, my request will be, we have got a couple of colleagues here outside, Pramod and Ashwin from IBM, right? They will help you in terms of if you need further information of what software is, how does it really help. I'll be there at the back of in the balcony in terms of available for you, right? To help you understand what software is, how we as an IBM can really help you to achieve the business objectives what you are looking for, right? So I have got another 5 minutes before I need to wind up. Any queries, any questions, I'll be glad to take that. Yeah, please go ahead.
See, we are setting up an online pharmacy, and we've been thinking in terms of using Amazon Web Services.
Okay.
For our, storing our data. So what I could understand is that, one, there is a cost for the platform server, like if we go for a Magento platform. So, and then there is a cost for the architecture. And then there's a subscription cost.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're talking more from Amazon perspective.
Yeah, but if we, let's say, go for IBM, then how does it work? is there an architecture cost?
See let me try to respond this question in two ways, right? Now what I just mentioned in my slides is more of infrastructure as a service, right? So what we as an IBM expect that you have already got an application, you have got architecture for that, you have sized the necessary infra to that. One scenario. So where we can go and tell you that, okay, based on your application, this is the sizing you have done, then you can really deploy it on software, create an account on software, which is completely visible to you, completely controlled by you as a customer, and then you can really go and deploy that servers on that. But if you need help in terms of architecture of the application or sizing of the, that's a separate thing. Yes, we do that, right? But that's a separate discussion we have. What focus today was to really enable companies across industries and especially in the e-commerce space where to showcase them how they can, if they have really come to the stage where they have got an application, they have sized the infra. Now the choice has to be done whether that infra needs to be on-premise or on some competition thing or software. There we can help you in terms of how the TCO, right, over a period of time, say for 2 years or 3 years, works much better in this case vis-a-vis our competition, right? So we can discuss on that in terms of that. So we provide both. It's not that we don't provide, but this was more focused from where you as a customer, you as an end user can consume the infra as a service from software perspective. And my request will be you should try on software because it's something which we really recommend to customers. You can have a 1 month trial to get a feel of how exactly the user experience is, how exactly is the self-service portal, and the biggest USP is the transparency which software maintains to its customers, right? We have seen customers coming back who have been on the competition saying that they anticipated a bill of say X dollars, but at the end of the month it was X plus delta, which was never mentioned at the beginning of signing that contract. But here it is completely transparent. As I said, we as a software and IBM company, your downstream is 20 terabytes free per month on a bare metal, which is a physical server, and 5 terabytes per month on a virtualized environment, while upstream is completely free for you as an end user. Any other questions? Sorry, please go ahead.
My name is Subodh. I want to ask that if clients are using the same application in one server, there are many traffics.
Yeah.
So how strong is software to control that traffic?
Oh, software, the underlying the way software was built is something which has been done on scratch, right? So we have got a VLAN concept, which is actually used to segregate one customer from the other customer in case they are using a shared environment. And the USP with software brings, in case you still need to have a dedicated environment, you have got the flexibility to do that, which is not provided by any competition, right? Because for every competition, it is all shared, all virtualized, right? So if you are looking for a specific secure protocol, you have got two ways to connect with software data centers. One is you can create an IPsec-based VPN tunnel to really ensure that your data is encrypted based on the key what you provide, or you have got an option to directly link, right, from your enterprise data center or from your point of presence on the internet to software data center, right? So as I said, most of the India customers are leveraging Software Singapore in a big way. In fact, most of our India customer base is using Software Singapore data center, but we'll soon have software data center in India as well. Anything, any other question before we conclude the session? Okay, if there are no questions, thanks for your time and have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you.